Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today, for you guys, there's another movie review. Today we're tackling the latest Marvel film, Morbius. Now this is technically a Sony movie, so you know, like Andrew Garfield films, Venom 1 and 2, that kind of thing. However, I think this is going to be a non-spoiler review, but I'm also going to get into spoilers toward the end of the video. Not going to be that long of a video because it's a very short film, but it does feel... It feels like a Marvel movie, but it doesn't feel like a Marvel movie. It's kind of weird, but you know, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen Adrian Toomes, aka Vulture, Michael Keaton, right? He's in there. So technically, like Venom 1 and 2, and the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 with Tobey, all those films are not technically in the MCU, but they also are technically in the MCU, just they're in a different multiverse. You know what I mean? So really, if you want to watch all the MCU films, you have to watch Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1, 2, Venom 1, 2, and this film, Morbius. So this film does take place in the Venom universe. However, again, it is technically in the MCU as well. You know, without spoiling anything, you've seen that in the trailer. But, look, my main issue with this film, and going into this film, I was excited because, you know, I'm not, like, the biggest Morbius fan in the world, but, you know, I played Lego Marvel 2, he's in that, and he's a playable character. I've read some of the Morbius comics. I think it's a cool character, you know, he's kind of like Blade, but instead of like a human vampire hunter, he's a literal freaking human vampire hybrid type thing, and I think it's a cool concept. And, you know, going forward with that whole idea of the, you know, the vampire thing, I think it works. I'm going to be honest, I think it works, but there are a significant amount of things that happen in this film that are very strange, because, again, it's only an hour and 44 minutes, it's about the same length as the Lego movies, and look, the Lego movie lengths, those work, you know, because it just works. Like, that's the point. It's meant to be in that time slot. Much, you know, a bunch of animated films are around the same, like an hour and 40, hour 50, maybe 2 hours, you know, whatever. But most animated films are that, you know, length. Venom 1 and 2 are also a little short, but, in fact, Venom 2 is probably shorter than this one. But, you know, most MCU films are over 2 hours. And this is an hour and 44 minutes. And... you know, look, you can have a short film and have it work, right? Lego movies, those work and they're short. The Batman, that movie is a masterpiece and it's almost 3 hours long. It's like 3 minutes shy of 3 hours. That film works. It's a long film, but it has enough content in it that by the time you finish the Batman, or say Endgame, you know, a very long comic book film, you feel gratified. You know, you feel happy that, you know, okay, you know, everything makes sense, it all wrapped up for the most part. This film, because it's so short, it also feels very rushed, and that is the main negative. I think this does not deserve a 16-15%. This is not a bad film. This is not a masterpiece. It's not a great film, but, you know, for a Sony Marvel film that's also connected to the MCU, if you're into it, it works, you know. And yes, this movie went through development hell. It got delayed a shit ton of times, and also, you know, you get to, you know, the whole Spider-Man thing. Oh, which universe is it in? You know, Tobey Maguire's in there. Maybe it's Amazing Spider-Man. Maybe it's Tom Holland. Spider-Man's not even freaking in the movie. And, you know, really, Sony, they just kind of manipulated the Spider-Man fans to go see this film. But going back to the length, this film is very rushed. As in, it's kind of hard to talk about without getting into spoilers. But there are moments in this film where... they set up a character arc between Michael Morbius and his buddy, which he calls, like, Milo. His real name's not Milo. It's a thing. Go watch the movie. But I'm just going to call him Milo. It's not his real name, but, again, watch the film. You'll know what I'm talking about. It's hard to explain. So, Michael and Milo, right, they're good buddies. They've been best friends since childhood. They've both got this disease that's jacking them up. You know, they're on stretchers and they're walking with canes and all that. And... they become friends, right? They're sticking up for each other, and you can tell, because this film, I'll say this for some positives, this film has good writing and it has good acting. It has better writing and better acting than both Venom films. And I don't think the both Venom films have horrible acting or horrible writing. I think they're good movies. And this film does have better acting and writing in terms of that department. Now, does this film have better acting and writing than the MCU? No. But it is better than Venom 1 and 2. And again, I do enjoy Venom 1 and 2, so, you know, there you go. But with the length, again, it's hard. I'm having trouble reviewing it because I can't get into spoilers, and because it's so freaking short, it's kind of hard to not do that. But I do think that, like I was saying, for example, there are moments where, you know, Michael and Milo are good friends, and it sets the, you know, the film sets these two characters up as their best friends It's like Anakin and Obi-Wan, you know what I mean? It's like Rey and Finn, or Poe and Finn, or, you know, whatever. It's like very good best friends. And then something happens, you know, Michael turns into Morbius, you know, the actual, I mean, Michael, his last name is he turns into the vampire. And then you get something happens to another character, and then they fight, and it feels very empty, because it's rushed. You know, like imagine if, in the prequels, Anakin and Obi-Wan in the first film are just automatically enemies after 30 minutes. You know, they meet, they're best friends, right? And then it flash forwards to like a year later, in the span of the film, like 30 minutes, and then they hate each other. That's what it feels, very rushed. It feels like they started off giving really good character moments. You know, okay, this Milo has some good, he has a good character arc. You know, he's making some good points. And you know, Michael has some good points too. And then the film immediately goes, oh, they hate each other now, and it's fight scenes. You know, there's a character, which I won't name, that dies in the film, which is pretty important to the plot. And, you know, it's a big holy crap moment for Michael. And then you go literally 30 to 40 seconds later in the film, another character is injured very, very badly and, you know, dies. I won't get into who it is, but, you know, shit hits the fan very quickly in this film because it's so freaking short, you know what I mean? So, like, stuff happens and you're like, oh, man. And then 30 seconds later, oh, my God, something else happened. You know, there's no time to breathe. And there are even shots in this film, like, the little black little girl, I don't even know if she has a name, but she has the same disease as Michael and Milo, and she's, you know, she's in the hospital, and there's that whole kind of element where, you know, Michael Morbius is a doctor, and he's trying to, you know, because Michael Morbius in his heart he's a good person, you know, he's a doctor. I'm not saying all doctors are good people, but, you know, he's trying to help people, you know, he's genuinely a good person. And then he's forced to drink blood and F people up and kill them, and, you know, it's a good plot, it's a good premise. And if they had an extra hour and a half to maybe an extra hour and 40 on top of the hour and 40 we have now, it would have made the film even better. And it's a good movie. I don't hate this film. I think it's a good film. But there are moments, it's like you bought a puzzle with 1,000 pieces and you open it up and there's only 500 in the box. Like, they forgot to give you the other 500 pieces. So you're left with a puzzle that is half complete. That's what this film is like. It's a good movie, but it feels incomplete and rushed. You know what I mean? It feels like they were like, all right, well, that scene with the black little girl, she's crying. There are shots in the trailer where she's in, and she's not even in the movie. You know, she's in it for like 2 scenes. And it's kind of like Batman or Alfred and the Batman. If you've seen that, you know what I'm talking about. They don't really visit Alfred again after a specific scene. And this film definitely goes that route where it's like, okay, they had some really good ideas, really cool stuff in the trailers, right? And then they just butchered the fudge out of it when they were editing the movie. And Sony literally came out and said, we did that. Because, oh, No Way Home really changed the way how we filmed this film. And you can tell immediately, you know what I mean? Like, again, short films can be very good, and long films can be very good. But sometimes long films can be boring. Sometimes short movies can be rushed. And this is a good film, but it's very effing rushed. You know, stuff happens and it's very brisk. The hour and 40 freaking flew by. Because, you know, like, it's oddly edited as well. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't get into spoilers, but there are certain scenes where a character is fighting another character that's like a minute later after they just had a scene where they're best friends. You know what I mean? It feels like they left out 6 or 7 scenes of good plot to make you side with that character. You know, because Milo, Matt Smith's character, he has some good points. He's like, look, I'm crippled, I can't get women, I can't dance, I can't do shit, you know, I can't do anything. Life sucks, you know? And I'm not saying every person that's crippled hates their freaking life, but, you know, this dude does. And with that said, there's like a scene where something happens and he's able to do things he normally can't do. And there's a scene where he's dancing in his house to a very cringy song, and the lyrics are, let's have sex. Okay. And I get it, because I understand the scene, because he can't dance, he can't have sex with women. I mean, I guess he can, but, you know, women don't want to, in this film, I'm not saying in real life, but in the Morbius movie, women don't want to date a cripple. So, you know, you have all this stuff where, you know, Milo's like, look, I can't get a woman, I can't do this, I can't do that. He's got a whole laundry list of stuff he can't do, and then suddenly he can do those things. And there's a scene in the apartment where he's getting ready for a date, he's going to a bar, and he's dancing, right? He's got a shirt off, you know, I bet all the women think he's hot, you know, he's doing, well, you know, every superhero movie has a shirtless dude scene. If only they had a shirtless woman scene, but that'd be an R-rated, right? But in this, you know, PG-13 Morbius, still not for kids, this is a very violent film, but he's dancing, he's going crazy, he's doing all stuff. And it's funny for like the first 10 seconds because, he's doing these weird dance moves. And it also works because now he's able to do the things he previously could not, so it's a good character moment. But the scene lasts for like 20 friggin' seconds or like 30 seconds. It's very cringy, very fast. There's another scene where Milo was running at a character in slow motion near the trains and like a train tunnel. And the scene lasts for far too long. I mean, he's just going for like 20 or 30 seconds. So there's two scenes in this film, that and the bathroom scene, where it's very, very, they should have cut that a lot. They condensed the wrong thing. They forgot to mention the little black girl. What happened to her? I guess she's died. I don't know. But, let's keep the scene where Milo's dancing in the bathroom for 20 minutes, because, that works. So, it's little things, but it's weird. Like I said, it's the puzzle piece analogy where the movie is very good. I do think it has good writing, it has good acting. The action scenes are pretty good. I think the CGI is passable. It's got a good plot. I think Morbius as a character is very interesting. The whole doctor thing, there's some medical scenes. Nothing too gory, but, he's a doctor, so that stuff's in there. It's all very intriguing, and it's captivating. And then stuff just happens, and you're like, wait a minute. Who did that, and why is this happening, and why is this character evil now? And why, it's just, if they had an extra hour 40 on top of that hour 40, maybe if the film was 2 hours and 25 minutes, or 2 hours and 15 minutes instead of an hour and 44 minutes, it would have easily been a better, more complete experience. But this is a film that feels like they were editing it in the room, and they said, cut that out. We don't have time. It's been delayed 7 times. Put it the fudge out right now. Just get it out in theaters. And look, this movie's not bad. I think the whole internet and the Rotten Tomatoes will make you believe this film is complete garbage. Now, you know how I stand. I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. I rarely even look at them. Because most of the time it's just a bunch of old geezers saying, back in my day! You know what I mean? But it's like, when it comes to film, trust yourself only. You can listen to other people like you're listening to me. But, let's say I give Morbius an A+, which I don't. I'm just saying that as an example. You might give Morbius an F, right? It's just your own opinion. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't trust anyone online. You could say, people said this movie is complete shit. It's got like a 14%, it's complete trash, it's garbage, don't see it, it's bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the person, it's all subjective. But, again, my only issues is that the bathroom scene's really weird. For example, the bathroom scene in Joker, right, where he's dancing, that works because he's effing insane. I guess this dude's insane too, but, he's insane. The tone of the movie fits that, it deals with topics like that. Plus, Arthur Fleck dances a lot. That's how he copes with a lot of problems. So that makes sense in Joker, the dancing scenes. This film makes sense for the character, but the scene lasts too long. It's very strange. There's another like that a slow motion shot, very, very too long. They should have cut that like in half. And then there are, like I said, there's a lot of moments where it feels very incomplete. It's like releasing the a broken video game on day one, right? Oh, well, the day one patch will fix it. Trust me. The whole spiel about day one patches or whatever. And that's my other analogy, is that, you buy, it's like paying $60 for a video game, and, they say, oh, it's like Lego Star Wars, right? Lego Star Wars, they go back in 2019, yeah, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, it's going to have a character customizer. It's back. And then the game comes out, they're like, oh, sorry, it's not in there. I don't have that big of a deal with it, because I didn't really even use the character customizer, but that's another analogy, is that, you were promised something, and you were shown something, and then when you watch or, play the game, watch the movie Morbius, watch the final product, it does feel incomplete, and it feels very rushed, and just kind of like, all right, let's shove this out the door. And I am going to buy it on Blu-ray. I think it's a good film. I wouldn't see it again. I don't highly recommend, but if you like Marvel, if you like Morbius, if you just, enjoy comic book movies and want to see how it all connects to the MCU more, I would recommend this film. I don't think it's bad by any stretch, but this is really the first movie I've ever seen that felt this incomplete and just rushed. Like I said, it's that puzzle piece. It's like a 1,000-piece puzzle. You open the box, there's 500 pieces, and they left out 500. Or the Lego Star Wars thing. It feels very strange. It really does. It's like walking out, and you're like, what just happened? You know what I mean? Because, like, the movie ends, without spoiling, the movie ends on a complete effing cliffhanger, where they're obviously setting up Morbius 2, or whatever, and I don't know how the movie's, I think this movie's actually kind of bombing right now, so I don't know if they're going to get a Morbius 2, but this film does not end on a good, it's a good, you know, it's not like a bad ending, but, you know, there's no happy ending, there's no, like, it's kind of a weird ending, it just kind of ends. And you're like, okay, well, I guess the movie just ended. What the fudge is going to happen now? You know, and there are 2 end credit scenes, so, you know, do watch those, because they're pretty freaking cool. But, I don't know, man, it's weird. I'm going to, like I said, I enjoyed the acting, I enjoyed the writing, I enjoyed the action scenes, I enjoyed the plot, I enjoyed the, you know, all of it I really liked. But again, it just felt very incomplete. That's the best thing, because the worst part about it, you know, and there's other 2 shots. So I'm going to give Morbius a B-. It's probably one of the lower ones I've been giving recently. Remember, B is good. A is great. So B- is, it's just on the cusp of a good film. Again, for me to say I buy it on Blu-ray and watch it again happily in the theater, you know, it's not a bad film. But is it like, you know, No Way Home, The Winter Soldier, Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or, you know, any really, really, really top-notch MCU film? No. But it is better than the 2 Venom films, and I think it is a step in the right direction. You know, if Sony wants to tie in all this crazy shite they're doing with the MCU, I think this is another good one. But again, it feels like when they were editing it, they were like, all right, take that out, add that scene. The bathroom scene, keep it. The slow motion running scene, keep that. Take out the whole freaking medical thing. You know, it's just very strange how they edited this film. But again, you know, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I think it does not deserve the hate that it gets. But again, there is a bit of a missing piece to this film that I've never really had with any other film. You know, like, I've never walked away from a movie going, wow, that didn't feel like a complete film. You know, I've never had that. And this, I walked away, I'm like, damn, this movie doesn't feel like a complete, you know, I mean, it feels like half a movie. Because they should have, it just feels like they cut it directly in half, right down the middle, in terms of runtime, you know. But, again, I recommend it if you, you know, do like Marvel. Probably sounds like I'm hating on it, but, I am not biased. I do review things fairly. I know I love a lot of things, but that's because I genuinely love those things. And I do genuinely like this film. But there are things about it that are kind of weird, especially the runtime and just the weird pacing and the editing and all that. But hey, it's a good film. If you want to go watch it, check it out. I would buy it on Blu-ray. I will buy it on Blu-ray, and I'll, you know, see if I get a code or whatever. I'll give it to one of you guys. But, you know, I enjoyed it. So now we're going to move on to the spoiler part of this little review here. So if you have not seen Morbius, please leave the video. The actual review is over. Again, Morbius, I'm going to give it a B-. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you. We'll see you in the next video. So with the spoilers, there's not a whole lot to talk about. The movie ends. Morbius kind of poofs out of the little hole in the ground, right? He kills Milo, gives him the cure, kills him. Those 2 cops are looking over the thing, and Morbius shoots out. And, you know, of course, we get the scene right after the doctor gets sliced in the tummy. And then, like, literally, that was what I was mentioning back in the video. That 30 seconds later, boom, Morbius' girlfriend, quote-unquote, dies. Kind of off-screen. It's kind of a dumb death. Because, again, you're building up this character to be like, you know, oh, I can see Morbius and her, you know, getting along, or, you know, getting together. And then, you know, off-screen death or whatever. It was just kind of weirdly shot. And then, of course, you know, Morbius kind of, like, bites her. Because at this point in the film, he needs human blood. So he bites her, presumably thinking, you know, she's dead and might as well suck her blood. And then he screams. It's a good scene. But then, you know, a little blood drops on her lip and she opens her eyes and you're like, oh shit, she's alive, you know, holy cow. And then, you know, we get the introduction of Adrian Toomes, or Vulture from the MCU. So this is what I meant when it's saying that this is a Sony film, but it is tying into the MCU. Much like how Venom 2 ends off with him in a completely different environment, we see that in No Way Home. He's in a crazy random bar in the MCU, and then, you know, at the end of No Way Home, he goes back to the Venom-verse in the Sony-verse, but, you know, technically, the Venom films, much like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, they are in the MCU now. They are canon. They're just in different multiverses, and this is the same way. So, in the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, from what I remember, Vulture goes to jail, right, along with Scorpion and whatever, but he's in jail. And then in this film, again, you've seen this because it's a spoiler part, he's in jail in the Venom Morbius-averse, and he's kind of like, what the fudge is going on? He's like, hopefully, you know, this jail has better food than the last jail. It's a cool, you know, I mean, it's kind of, it's weird writing, because, you know, he goes from one jail to, you know, how come he didn't spawn in, like, a freaking, you know, whatever. I guess it makes sense, because Venom was in like a hotel and he transported to another hotel, so I guess I'm just contradicting myself, but you know, now that I'm processing the film, and then we get that whole scene where they're like, oh, well, I guess this random guy named Adrian Toombs is in jail, so you know, we let him out because we don't know who the hell he is, you know, but technically they just let out a killer from a different freaking multiverse. So he teams up in the Vulture suit, and I almost lost it in theaters. I went with my dad and uncle, and it was like, holy crap, this is awesome, you know what I mean? This is cool. Vulture's back in the suit. And then we see him kind of making a deal with Morbius. And Morbius is kind of an anti-hero in the comics. He's more of a villain than Venom, I would say. But in this, it's weird, because really, at this point in the film, Morbius needs human blood to live. So either Morbius just effing dies, or he takes the cure, becomes good morally, and dies. So the only really way for Morbius to live in this whole Marvel MCU Sony thing is for him to be evil. Because, you know, you can't be a good guy and kill people and eat their blood, you know, drink their blood. So it's kind of weird. But, you know, Vulture is like, hey, look, you know, hey, I think maybe we can help each other. We can do some good, you know. So they're clearly setting up Morbius 2. They're clearly setting up some cool stuff between the Sony and MCU films. And look, No Way Home is a fantastic film, but much like Endgame, how that film introduced time travel, this film, you know, No Way Home, introduced Doctor Strange completely effing it up and bringing people from all across the multiverse into the Sony-verse. You know, they're coming in, you know, to the Marvel. And Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is literally called In the Multiverse of Madness. And this is a direct sequel to WandaVision, that show. So, you know, it's all connecting. And it's very easy for you to get lost if you've fallen behind, if you haven't watched all the shows or watched all the films or kept up with all the news. But, you know, it is very interesting to see where they're going to go next. That's really it in terms of spoilers, you know what I mean? But I think that Vulture coming back, talking to Morbius, everyone online, they're like, it doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense. People are just stupid. But I do think that, I mean, that's all I got to say on that. But I do think that this is a good step forward from a good film. Not a great film. It's a good film, B-. But if Sony continues to make films like Venom 2, Venom 1, Morbius that are just, you know, borderline good, sometimes very good, you know, because look, you don't want to make a crap film like an objective, like Catwoman with Halle Berry, you know, you don't want to make a bad film like that and then be like, oh, hey, it's connected to a really good universe with really good movies, you know what I mean? Because then it's like, oh, you know, because then when you rewatch the whole MCU and you watch Morbius, you're like, oh, damn it, I gotta watch this bad movie. And I have to because it's canon, you know. I'm not saying Morbius is a bad film, but for an example. So, you know, they kind of have to be careful if they keep making films that no one likes, because no one likes Morbius, I guess, apart from me. I thought it was actually pretty good. I had moderate, I guess, expectations. Again, I did know going in this was horribly reviewed, but again, you know me, I trust no one but myself. And if I like a movie, I like a movie. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna, if I read online it gets a 17, I'm not gonna not see it. Oh, well, it's a 17, I guess it's objectively bad, you know. No, like, I'm still gonna watch it and decide for myself. So, it's, you know, they gotta play their cards right. And if they keep making good films like this and trying to tie it into Sony and MCU and all that, I think it'll work. But again, if, you know, if they start making really bad movies and they try to connect it to the MCU, which has very good movies, you know, it can kind of get kind of muffled and kind of weird. But still, I think we're on the right track for now. Hopefully Sony can continue to make good films that are, you know, not, hopefully higher than 17%. I don't know. But, again, you know, Morbius was a good film. It was better than what I thought it was going to be. It's no masterpiece, but it's a movie I would watch again. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I can't wait to see where Morbius and this whole Marvel, MCU, Sony franchise thing goes in the future. I'm actually really excited for the future. You know, I'm very much hopeful for what's to come. I'm going to be watching Moon Knight soon. I just finished the Skywalker Saga, of course. I have a few more movies on that. And then we're going to go to Moon Knight, and then I have a bunch of other stuff to do. So look forward to that. And again, tell me in the comments without spoiling it down below what you thought about Morbius. Again, I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good film, B-. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, maybe I'm wrong, but I do think it's a good film. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, Morbius, pretty good film. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.